Do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me, they long to be close to you.
Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Willie Jolley and my beautiful bride.
It's Dee.
And we're the authors of the book, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, 10 Secrets to Shape a Great Marriage. We've been married for 39 years, be 40 years in just a short while. And we haven't had an argument as a couple. How you like that? In 38 years. She wanted me to bring up the fact that we disagreed with my staff, but it wasn't just you. It was the whole staff, right?
But I was a part of the staff.
Well, you're part of the staff, but it wasn't you by yourself, was it?
It wasn't me by myself.
All right. No buts. It wasn't you by yourself. It was staff. My agreement with something about the staff, and she says I raised my voice. I just said, I'm not gonna go. I just said stop. But she took that as an offense that I'm talking to her, talking to the whole staff. Y'all stop it. Let's move on. Anyway, as a couple, have we had an argument as a couple?
That's because you're always right.
You think so?
Yes.
You think I'm always right?
Always right. Mm-hmm.
Then I think you're right. I think you're right.
So you know what to say to not have a disagreement. How about that?
Well, I don't know if we know what to say, but we do say good things to each other. That's the key, which is part of what we want to talk about tonight. First of all, I want to welcome everybody, whether you're watching live or you're watching on the replay. Welcome. We are so grateful for your making this a part of your weekly routine. We're very, very grateful for all of you. And then we got people joining on multiple platforms on the Real Willie Jolley on IG. We got the Jolley Marriage on IG, on the Jolley Marriage on Facebook, Jolley Marriage on Instagram, Willie Jolley LinkedIn Live, and then of course for those who are watching the replay, the Jolley Marriage Show on YouTube. Whatever way you get it, we're grateful because you have made this a popular weekly destination for people, and I'm grateful for all of you. So welcome to everybody. Next, we are so excited about the fact that we get to celebrate with people some success stories in their relationships who have watched our TED Talk, which is free, and they watch it and say it helped their marriage. So we celebrate them. You can get the TED Talk at jolleymarriage.com or ajolleymarriage.com, either one, and watch it. It's 12 minutes long, tells the system we use to not argue, the 4F system. It works. So today we're going to talk about that whole concept of arguing. You know, the old saying says, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And that's not true. That's not true. Words can kill people's spirit. They can break hearts. And so, hey, my other son just popped on, Delatoro McNeil, one of the greatest speakers on the planet. My son in the speaking business, he's incredible. Check out, you Google Delatoro. You'll see he's only one Delatoro who's a speaker. Fantastic. But he's the one who came up with the title for the book, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. We were going to call it the Jolley Marriage Book. And he called and said, Mom and Dad, I got a title for y'all. We said, what are you thinking? He said, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. I said, that's the title. You're right about that. There was no disagreement, no argument, no hesitation. So thank you, Delatoro. Okay.
So I have an anonymous, unknown quote. Unknown.
Okay.
Be careful with your words. Once they are said, they can only be forgiven, not forgotten.
Ooh, that is a great quote.
Is that?
Say it one more time. That's a great quote.
The author is unknown. Be careful with your words. Once they are said, they can only be forgiven, not forgotten.
Oh, that's what we want to talk about. That's a great quote. And that's what we want to talk about. When you use words as weapons, that always leads to war. And in the war, nobody wins. Nobody wins. So when I was a kid, I remember getting hit upside the head with a stick. I mean, we were playing stick, and I got hit upside the head with the stick.
Wow.
One of my playmates, we're playing pirates or something, and we had sticks.
I never had those experiences.
You never had those.
I have no clue.
Well, when I played with my friends, and so I got hit upside the head with the stick. That might be why I'm a little crazy now. Anyway, but I don't remember that pain. I don't remember I just know it was a pain. I can't viscerally remember the feeling of pain that it was at that moment. I know it was painful. I know that I didn't like it. I might have cried, but I don't still feel that pain. But I've had people say things over the years
that you remember,
that I remember, I have never forgotten. And when I think of some of the things that have been said, it still is a pain in my heart. Okay, so sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Oh, that's not true. Words can break your spirit, can damage you. They can kill your spirit. They can put a dagger. That said, we want to make sure that people know that when you use words as weapons, that those weapons will not be forgotten. What Dee just said, great, will not be forgotten. You can be forgiven, but not forgotten. And they only forgiven if you ask for forgiveness. But we prefer.
Well, I don't.
They don't forgive you. You don't forgive them unless somebody asks for forgiveness. Typically.
I don't know why would you say that? I don't know if I agree with that, because forgiveness, I think, is more for us than it is for the other person. Because if we don't forgive people,
I guess you're right. We do have the capacity.
We would harbor that, and it would adversely affect us more than they're going on. Sometimes they don't even. I think in many instances, people don't even know when they've been.
Do they forgive it or do they let it go?
Abusive to somebody else, because that might just be the kind of environment that they came from.
Not a person who was offended. Do they forgive it? Do they forgive the person or do they let it go? There's a difference. I let some stuff go. I've let stuff go.
What's the difference in letting go and forgiving?
Forgiveness. We should probably do some sort of definition of the two. But when I think of the two differences, someone just said, Roderick said, some don't know and others don't care. I think you're right. But I have let things go. I let it go. It's not worth it, because you're right. The person who holds the bitterness does more damage to themselves than to the person that they
Everything from high blood pressure to
lots of disease. Okay, is the dis-ease.
Because the turmoil is going on the inside of you. You're upset. You're emotionally upset. Affects your physical well-being. It affects your mental well-being.
So let's not dwell on this semantics. I want to get to the real point of the issue, is that when you use words as weapons, it can cut people. And why you people do that is sometimes to cut, to maim, to hurt, to get back at.
Okay.
And it's not a wise choice. And that's what I want to say to you. It's not a wise choice, because you can ask for forgiveness or they can let it go. But if they don't, it simmers and then it festers. And a lot of marriages are broken. A lot of relationships are destroyed over words that were used as weapons that created a war, and they ended up divorcing. And nobody won because of that.
I looked up.
Like the person who we had a conversation with, who told her husband, "Is that all you got?" Ooh, in the bed after their sexual activity. Is that all you got? Oh my God. You talk about deflating, emasculating. Yeah, they ended up divorced, didn't they? Didn't
Well, they are divorced.
they? Yeah. So now, and I think there was some animosity for her to say that to him because he had said or done something to her prior to that. So this is a way of getting them in. So words as weapons.
Okay, let me go back a
All
little
right.
bit of history.
All right.
So I looked at my chat GPT friend
Mm-hmm.
for the history of the saying as best they could find
Mm-hmm.
about sticks and stones may break my bones, but
Mhm.
words will never hurt me. It said it was often taught as a way to encourage emotional resilience and to brush off verbal insults or bullying.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what. How did I get it first? When I was a kid, when people would say, "Willie, I had, I had a hairline that had a dent in it. Okay, had like a little V in the front, and they would make fun of that. You know, kids will make fun of whatever they can find to make fun of.
And why,
Don't go into that. Okay, well, I know where you're going to go. Why did they do it? Let's not go there.
Because they feel insecure.
Yeah, whatever.
And they have to make fun of somebody else. That's my own.
So I had this little V, and then make fun of it.
Why'd you have a V in your forehead?
That's another long story.
Because you pull your hair out.
Yes. I had some issues. I had some issues.
Oh my goodness.
I had some clicks. Like a widow's peak going the wrong way. Roddick said, like a widow's peak, but it's going backwards, okay? How long
did you do that?
When I was a child. I mean, like 2 or 3, 4.
Oh.
So
that was your nervousness.
That was my nervousness. I pulled my hair out. Okay, it had a little V. It grew back. Mm-hmm. Thank goodness. But here's the thing: people would make fun, and I guess my mom or dad or somebody would say, "Don't let them make fun of you. Go sticks and stones and break your bones, but words will never hurt you." Okay. Yes.
So that goes
words will never hurt me. Yes.
Don't let the words of other people destroy you.
Right. Casper Stockholm, who we had on as our guest just recently, he said, the Jollies always bring the fire. Thank you. He and his wife, Cheryl, have a great marriage show, the Stockhams, check them out. Anyway, so that was a way to encourage you to
be resilient.
To
bounce back.
Yeah, or to be able to have some, I'm okay, because I'm not letting those words hurt me. But they did hurt. Yeah, they did hurt.
But they do cut you to the core. Okay, I read another piece that said, take a sheet of paper, take a nice clean sheet of paper. Crumple it up. Throw it on the floor.
Yes.
Stomp on it. Now pick it up.
Yeah.
Flatten it out.
Yes.
What do you have?
A piece of paper.
That is
crumpled.
That still has all of the scars. Has all you straighten it out, right?
You try and straighten it out.
But it still has all of the crinkles and wrinkles and the dirt from where you stomped on it. And the crumpled lines.
That's good.
Because you can never get rid of it. Is that
That's
great?
Good. That was good.
I love doing research.
You
Is
did.
that great?
That was very
great
good.
visual
That was very good.
for when you use words that hurt other people. But see, I still maintain, which is what I said to you forever, is that often people say things, and they have no clue as to what they're saying. But they don't. Yeah. I know you're saying that people.
This one is, but I want to focus on the ones that have a clue and do it intentionally.
Well, how do we know they do? I'm like,
no, how do we know they use the word?
Do I just am I too Pollyanna? Because I assume that so many people are so clueless.
No, I'm talking. We want to focus on the people who are intentional about using words that hurt their partner.
I would have to learn to.
And they were words as weapons. They're trying to shoot darts.
So what's your solution?
Okay, that's what we want to get to.
So what's your solution?
First of all, when someone hurts your feelings and uses words to hurt your feelings, I think you must employ the principles we talk about in the TED Talk.
Well, what is that?
First of all, you let them know, you're not in an angry moment. Here's how what you said made me feel.
Well, maybe that's good because you already said that they want to hurt your feelings.
That's right.
So then they accomplished it.
But here's how it made me feel. But rather than saying I'm mad or I'm angry or I'm upset, say you hurt me. There's a difference between.
And you don't think that will make them feel very happy and joyful?
Well, it depends on the personality of the person, of course. But often people say it in a minute of anger, a minute of not thinking that I'm gonna get you back, or I'm gonna get tit for tat, and if you say you hurt me, you hurt my feelings, and then you tell them how it maybe it can help that person realize I was wrong. Because if you do it in a war, if you keep going back, it's like this trade war. They just, keep going back. I'm going to raise you on 100 and you're going to go to 125.
And some people
and it just never ends. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Where if you are wise in your relationship, somebody has to say, no, I'm not going there. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to continue this. I'm going to let you know how much that hurt me and how, here's a word I like, it made me feel devalued.
And that might have been their intention.
Might have been, but at least you say it made me feel, rather than I'm mad at you and you getting back at me, you made me feel devalued. Believe it or not, folks, that's a powerful word, devalued. It's powerful because it speaks as much to the person who did it as the person who received it. That you make people feel devalued. You make people feel big. You make people belittle people. You're not a good person when you do that. Okay?
I don't disagree, but I think there's some people who are not good people and who enjoy insulting and hurting other people.
Well,
what do you do with them?
It is that. Well, you can't get into this tit for tat world. So that's the wrong thing to do. Then you have, after you've told them they hurt you, or after you said that is unfair, then you need to have some counseling. Yeah, because you can't attack them. Fire, when you take fire and you fight fire with fire, you just burn up the house.
Okay, I agree with that.
All right. So somebody has
and you're not, and the person who's on the receiving end of the insults can't change that other person. I think simply by saying what you said made me feel devalued. They then have to. What you're married to this person, you're stuck with them. What do? You've got to get counseling. The other person might not ever get it.
They might not, but that's where you have group counseling. And if they don't go, you go by yourself.
Oh, absolutely, you go by yourself.
You always,
because you might have to fight to get. I don't need counseling.
Well,
so then you first thing you need to go, because it's kind of like, oh my God, how did I end up marrying this person who's horrible?
Well, people aren't horrible. Situations are. I'm a believer that there are no horrible people. I'm just a believer in that. And a lot of people.
Horrible people.
There are people who do horrible things.
Okay.
There's situations that are created that are horrible. But I believe in, I guess because I'm such an optimist, I believe that everybody has some good in them somewhere.
So the devil has good in him?
See, why are you going down these paths? Why? Why are you? I'm trying to be open and airy and loving.
Candace Franklin, what did you say?
If their actions continue, then you know it's intentional. Yeah, but
they're horrible
people. You want to use the word
evil.
Maybe there are evil people. There's some evil people.
So what is the good in the evil person? Don't go down that path.
Leave me alone on this. We're not talking on that subject tonight. Why is it you want to keep going down rabbit holes? You go down rabbit holes with these. those are not important. Okay.
Yes.
All right. What I want to focus on is the people who are struggling with people who use words as weapons. How do you stop them from creating wars that no one wins?
Okay, so then we go back to, you tell them that what they said made you feel devalued.
Devalue.
You don't open the discussion being angry because
No.
it's tit for tat, and that does not work.
And you don't keep
Then
it going.
what
You
else?
call my mom or something, I'm gonna call your mom or something. You said you said, is that all you got? Well, you ugly. I mean, it can go on and on, and before you know.
So how do we stop it?
And remember, once those words come out, it's like toothpaste. You can't put them back in.
You can forgive them.
You can forgive them, but you will not forget it.
But isn't that something?
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to forget.
Yes.
It's in your memory.
Yeah, but I people have said something where they have apologized, and I let it, and then I really erased it. I've erased it. I don't even. I don't keep it in memory banks. I don't keep it in my spirit.
You don't keep it to the forefront of your mind.
No, if they're willing to apologize and ask for my forgiveness, and I say yes, then I let it go.
But I'm saying you should forgive anyway, because when you harbor bitterness.
Well, that's why we know that you want to let it go. You say forgive. I say let it go. Sometimes you won't forgive if they don't. I don't know.
Well, sometimes. But what happens when people don't know that they've? And I'm not talking.
You got to tell them. That's what I'm saying. You've got to tell them you hurt my feelings, because they might not know, but I doubt it. When people use words as weapons, maybe they don't know, but you got to tell them this is how that made me feel. And when they do that, you got to have an open and honest conversation, but not when you're angry. Not when you're angry. That's the secret.
Harboring grudges is self-inflicted.
Yeah, Candace Franklin says harboring grudges is self-inflicting. Don't internalize their projections. Absolutely. Don't let their projections become your reality.
So don't internalize what other people say. But then that comes down to, you have to have your own sense of self-worth and what
you have to have. Now that's true. You have to, but what if you don't? What if you have low self-esteem? What if you don't feel good about it?
You're gonna be stumped on. So you gotta work at it. So first you gotta identify, why am I having all these issues? Why do I feel this way? Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So who do I look up to? Who's my role model? Where am I going? What are my goals? Oh wow. That's about life.
Yeah. It's so I hope we discuss this with a mindset of how do we help people first to not have drag down, beat down, drag down, knock them out arguments that are all word, no physical, but words can have such a negative, hollering and screaming and talking about each other, calling each other out their names. All of those kind of things start usually with someone using a word as a weapon. And it doesn't end well. It creates wars, and those wars never end well. No one ever wins.
Okay, so your solution?
My solution is, one, when somebody uses a word as a weapon, you must let them know how that made you feel. And I use the word devalue. You didn't just hurt me, you devalued me. You made me devalued, or you belittled me. And it hurt. And it's hard for men to do that. I mean, it's very hard for men to do that. But when you are able to do that, then you can hopefully stop this snowball rolling down the hill where you're both throwing words out, or even letting it begin.
Right. So after you said you devalue me, then what?
Then you have a conversation with it about it. There might be that's when you have the conversation. Excuse me. That's when you have a conversation to try and get to the root of the problem.
Why did they say that?
Why did they say that? Why did you use words of reprimand? What was the reasoning? So we can try and fix this.
Okay, so situation, behavior, what's that? SBI?
SBI, situation, behavior, intent. SBI, the situation. Here's the situation. You said this.
Mm-hmm.
Here was the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And not intent, impact.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how it impacted me.
Mm-hmm.
SBI, situation, behavior, and here's how it impacted me. If you do that, folks, I think it will have a positive impact on you not having these wars.
At least it's the beginning, and then help.
Get help.
Everybody needs to have somebody to talk to, a professional.
Yeah, we would highly recommend marriage counseling, therapy. We recommend that. If you want to have a mentoring session, then you can get in touch with us, and we will give you a 30-minute mentoring session. It costs, there's a fee to it, but you just have to send us an email, info@williejolly.com. We will work with you through that 30-minute session. Now, I'm going to make a turn. You got anything else to say on this? Because I want to talk about Easter.
I was going to say this is Holy Week.
Yeah, this is Holy Week. Now, y'all all know, if you have been around a while, that we are Christians. We are committed Christians. And of all the holidays on the Christian calendar, this is the big one. Now, Christmas is nice. A baby was born. Great. I love Christmas. And a baby came to the earth and was born, and the mother had an immaculate conception. That was awesome. But this is the holiday that sets Christians apart, makes them who they are. Is that this guy who was born as an infant, an immaculate conception, grew up, became an itinerant preacher at the age of 30, did his ministry for 3.5 years. On the week of Easter, he went into Jerusalem. He first went into the temple and disrupted all the people who were doing money changes in the temple. And he taught in the temple. But then he was betrayed by one of his disciples. He was put through a trial, a kangaroo court, convicted of these charges that were trumped up, sentenced to death, crucified on a cross, confirmed dead, laid in a borrowed grave, and on the third day he arose. That's what we believe. And when he arose that took away my sins, her sins, your sins. But more importantly, he arose with power. And so we look to this day as a day that is the most important part of the Christian calendar, in my estimation.
It gave us
hope.
Hope.
That's right.
It gave us new life.
That's right.
It gave us eternity.
Amen. So we celebrate this. So we just want to say to you and your families, happy Easter, happy Resurrection Sunday. It's not about the Easter bunny, not about the Easter eggs. It's about Jesus rising from the dead and
taking our sins away.
And taking them on himself. So they had to no more sacrificing pigeons and doves and calves and goats, that he became a living sacrifice.
And the curtain was
rent.
So
torn.
We don't need anybody to intercede for us.
That's right.
I think that's a powerful.
That's a powerful part of it.
We go to God for ourselves.
That's right. So happy Resurrection Sunday on this Sunday. Happy Easter. Some people call it Easter. We at our church call it Resurrection Sunday. But he is risen. When I was in seminary, Wesley Theological Seminary, where I got my master's in theology, And when I got my doctorate in theology at the California Graduate School of Theology, we would say at Easter, he is risen indeed. Hallelujah. Have a great Holy Week. We're at our church, First Baptist Church of Glen Arden. We're having a great production, Good Friday production. Friday night we'll be there.
At 7 p.m. You
Yes.
need to get there early,
We're
by
gonna
6,
be there early.
to get a seat.
And at my home church, Asbury United Methodist, they have a Good Friday 7 last words from 12 noon to 3 p.m. And so those will all be options for those, wherever you may be. We're in D.C., but we hope you will take full advantage of this wonderful weekend, this wonderful time of the year. And then
You can pause for noonday prayer.
yeah, we have noonday
at
prayer every day.
FBCG Live, right?
Yeah, first by FBCGlenarden.org.
For virtual.
Virtual every day at
Great
noon.
1 hour and a great short message of hope.
Yes, for people who need prayer. You might need prayer
Yes.
about a health condition, about a family member, about your finances, about your relationships.
Anything.
Prayer changes things, that's for sure. So thank y'all for your time. Happy Easter, happy Resurrection Day, and may God bless you and your family mightily during this incredible time of the year. We're going out with my music from my jazz album, Close to You. God bless you. Have a great day.
Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me, they long to be close to you.